What if I told you that the fear you feel is not really yours? That it has been implanted, reinforced, and fed to keep you small, fragile, and disconnected from your true power? And if I revealed to you that fear is not a natural emotion of your soul, but an artificial echo of a mind conditioned by centuries of forgetting? There exists a forgotten knowledge, safeguarded in the most ancient traditions and confirmed by modern science, that allows you not only to face fear, but to eliminate it at its root and access a state of conscious invincibility. From the sacred texts of the Bhagavad Gita, where it is taught that the soul cannot be harmed or destroyed, to the hidden truths of the Kybalion, which declare that everything is mind and that mastering the mind is mastering reality, ancestral wisdom has shouted through time a truth that few dare to hear. Fear has no power over you unless you feed it. Fear, that shadow that paralyzes, that shrinks your dreams, that chains your soul, is only an illusion, a veil woven by collective programming, by the Gnostic archons that rule the illusory material realm, and by the inertia of unconscious thoughts you repeat without realizing. But today, here and now, you have the opportunity to remember something greater, that within you exists an immortal spark, a force that no external threat can touch. That being invincible does not mean having no challenges, but walking through them with a mind free of internal chains. And this real invincibility is not a gift granted to a few. It is a state you can consciously cultivate through specific spiritual keys, living practices that transform your perception and reprogram your reality. In the next few minutes, I will not only reveal what these keys are, I will guide you to begin today to dismantle the very architecture of fear in your mind, so you stop reacting to life from insecurity and start creating your existence from the sovereignty of knowing who you are. The journey you are about to begin will not only change you, it will reveal the strength that has always dwelled within you. From what country are you joining us today in this call to inner freedom? Let me know in the comments, because together we are rewriting destiny. Fear, that force that sometimes immobilizes you in the middle of the path, that whispers doubts when you are about to take a decisive step, was not born with you. It is not part of your true essence. Fear is a distortion, an energetic parasite that was implanted generation after generation to keep you disconnected from your inner sovereignty. From the moment you opened your eyes to the world, fear began to be sown in your mind. Fear of failure, fear of loss, fear of not being enough, fear of death. But these fears are not innate. They are learned, etched like invisible scars in the architecture of your consciousness. To understand how fear was implanted, we must look beyond the visible. The ancient Gnostics taught that we live in a world shaped by the archons, entities that govern through deception, distorting perception to keep us trapped in the illusion of separation and lack. These beings do not act in the physical, they act in the mind. Their most effective tool is not open violence, but the subtle infiltration of limiting ideas, beliefs of fragility, and narratives of insecurity. Every time you accept a fear-based thought as real, you open a door through which denser vibrations filter, clouding your perception of the truth. Modern science has begun to reveal an aspect of this manipulation. Neuroplasticity, a field studied by experts like Joe Dispenza, shows that every repeated thought strengthens specific neural networks. When you feed thoughts of fear, you not only suffer emotionally, you are literally shaping your brain to perceive threats even where there are none. Your mind becomes a labyrinth where the echoes of fear resonate again and again until you forget you are ever free. However, at the core of your being, the flame of truth never goes out. That eternal spark knows that fear is not your master, but your prison. The texts of the Bhagavad Gita make it clear: the soul is neither born nor dies. It cannot be cut by weapons, burned by fire, nor submerged by water. This is your true identity, indestructible, invincible, eternal. But to reconnect with this truth, you must pierce the veil of fear that has been carefully woven to keep you asleep. One of fear's subtlest traps is its ability to disguise itself as prudence, common sense, or realism. How many times have you felt that inner whisper telling you not to follow your intuition because it's dangerous or impractical? How many times have you abandoned a dream, not because it was impossible, but because the fear of failure convinced you not to even try. This is how the implant operates. Not with visible chains, but with self-limiting thoughts that seem like yours but are not. The first step to eliminating fear is to recognize it as something external to your being. It is not part of your soul, not part of your true nature. It is a program, an interference, a distortion, and like any program, it can be uninstalled. Here, Hermetic wisdom comes into play. All is mind, the universe is mental. If everything is mind, then fear is too. And if fear is mental, it can be transcended through the conscious reprogramming of your perception. In the ancient temples of Egypt, in the mystery schools, initiates were first trained in the mastery of fear. They were symbolically confronted with death, the void, the unknown, not to break them, but to free their minds from the illusions that bound them. They knew that whoever masters fear masters their destiny, and this training was not only spiritual, it had practical consequences. A heart freed from fear can hold greater visions, create higher realities, and manifest latent powers that would otherwise remain dormant. The good news is that you don't need to undergo complex rituals or face extreme challenges to begin this process today. It is enough to take an act of deep inner honesty. Observe your fear without judging it, recognize it as foreign to your essence, and declare from the heart that you choose to free yourself. Because fear only survives in the shadow of unconsciousness. When you face it, when you name it, when you strip it of its disguise, it begins to dissolve like mist before the sun of consciousness. Would you like to discover now the spiritual keys that activate this dissolution definitively? What follows is not theory, it is living practice. The doors to the invincibility that has always been waiting within you. Eliminating fear is not achieved by fighting against it, but by understanding its illusory nature and raising your frequency so that fear no longer finds a place to anchor. For this, you need to activate within you certain spiritual keys that have been passed down from master to disciple, from soul to soul, since time immemorial. Today I will reveal these keys, not as abstract concepts, but as living tools you can begin applying right now. The first key is conscious presence. Fear can only exist in a mind that travels to the future or laments the past, never in the now. In the present moment, when you bring all your attention to your breath, to the beating of your heart, to the moment you are living, fear loses its nourishment. Most fears that paralyze people are not real threats. They are mental projections of what might happen. When you anchor yourself in the present with all your energy, those projections dissolve like smoke. The second key is heart coherence. Studies by the Heart Math Institute show that the heart has an electromagnetic field far more powerful than the brain. And when you enter a state of gratitude, compassion, or unconditional love, this field harmonizes and begins to order your biology, your thoughts, and your perception of reality. Practicing heart coherence involves breathing deeply, connecting with an elevated emotion, and sustaining that feeling for several minutes. When you do this, you not only reduce fear, you reprogram your energetic field to emit frequencies of power and stability. The third key is conscious detachment. Fear often clings to the things we believe we need to be happy: financial security, social approval, external success. But the soul knows that its true fulfillment does not depend on anything external. When you practice detachment, it doesn't mean you renounce your dreams or material possessions. It means you stop giving them the power to define your worth. Thus, even if external circumstances change, your inner center remains intact, invincible against any storm. The fourth key is the recognition of your spiritual immortality. The Bhagavad Gita teaches that you are not this body, nor this mind, nor this story. You are the eternal witness that transcends birth and death. The fear of death is the root of all fears. But when you contemplate your existence from the soul's perspective, death ceases to be an end and becomes a natural transition. This understanding is not a philosophical idea. It is a living experience that radically transforms how you inhabit life. The fifth key is the conscious use of creative imagination. Fear uses your imagination against you, painting scenarios of failure, loss, or pain. But you can reverse this process. You can use your imagination to visualize your soul walking in strength, in peace, in love, in abundance. Every powerful image you consciously hold becomes a vibratory seed that reprograms your mind and strengthens your energetic field. You are not fantasizing, you are designing your reality from a higher level. The sixth key is courageous action. Fear feeds on inaction. Every time you act despite fear, every time you choose to move forward even though your trembling inner voice tells you can't, you dismantle its influence a little more. Conscious action does not deny fear, but transcends it. The soul grows not in comfort, but in expansion toward the unknown. And the seventh key, the most powerful of all, is the invocation of inner truth. When you align deeply with the truth of your being, with that eternal spark that knows you are an inseparable part of the source, fear cannot sustain itself. It is like turning on a lamp in a dark room. The darkness is not fought, it simply vanishes. Every time you remember your divine origin, every time you choose to see beyond appearances, you strengthen your vibratory field until fear no longer finds space in your mind. These keys are not magical in a superficial sense. They are living practices that, applied day after day, irreversibly transform your energetic configuration. And the most beautiful thing is that they require nothing external. You don't need gurus, costly ceremonies, or external approval. Everything you need already dwells within you. The will to remember, to practice, to choose your inner power over the illusion of fear. Now that you have discovered the spiritual keys to dismantling fear at its root, you are ready for the next level. You are ready to enter the state of conscious invincibility, where nothing external can break you. Join me in the next revelation. Reaching a state of invincibility does not mean becoming a stone statue, insensitive or indifferent to the world. On the contrary, it means living with an open heart, feeling deeply but without being a slave to fear. It means walking through life with the unshakable certainty that nothing external has the power to define your being. Authentic invincibility does not come from brute strength or emotional denial. It comes from a connection so profound with your inner truth that fear dissolves like a childish illusion before the light of dawn. The first pillar to inhabit this state is conscious mental mastery. The Kabbalion teaches that whoever masters their mind masters their reality. This does not mean suppressing negative thoughts with force, but observing them as passing clouds without identifying with them. Every time an inner voice of fear tries to arise, observe it, thank it for its attempt to protect you, and remind it that you now choose to trust. The mind is a powerful tool, but if you don't direct it, it becomes a tyrant. Mental mastery is not repression, it is inner leadership. The second pillar is emotional mastery. Emotions are energies in motion. They are not enemies. They are messengers. Fear, when it arises, does not seek to punish you. It seeks to alert you to a disconnection. Instead of repressing fear or letting it drag you, feel it fully in your body without stories or judgments. By doing so, you allow that energy to complete its cycle and be released. Unprocessed emotions feed chronic fear. Recognized and released emotions open space for inner freedom. The third pillar is the constant choice of coherence. Living in invincibility is choosing every day, every moment, thoughts that strengthen you, emotions that elevate you, actions that honor your truth. It's not about being perfect, but about being coherent. Coherence generates a powerful electromagnetic field that naturally repels vibrations of fear, doubt, and fragmentation. As Hermes Trismegistus taught, like attracts like. When you vibrate in coherence, you attract experiences, people, and paths that reinforce your invincible state. The fourth pillar is connection with the quantum field of unity. The ancients called it the ocean of consciousness. Modern science describes it as the unified field. When you meditate, visualize, or simply breathe consciously, feeling part of this field, you begin to live from the certainty that you are not alone. The illusion of separation, the basis of all fears, begins to crack. You feel that you are part of a loving intelligence that sustains everything. And in that moment, fear loses its reason for being because you understand that life itself conspires in favor of your expansion. The fifth pillar is sacred courage, not the reckless courage that denies fear, but the conscious courage that acts despite it. The Bhagavad Gita recounts how Arjuna, the divine warrior, was paralyzed before the decisive battle. But Krishna taught him that acting from the soul without attachment to the outcome is the true act of freedom. So too, in every daily choice, you can invoke that sacred courage that does not depend on external circumstances, but on your inner fidelity to your eternal essence. Living beyond fear does not mean you will never again feel uncertainty or pain. It means that when these emotions arise, you will receive them as passing waves without losing your center. It means that in the midst of external storms, you will remain anchored to the indestructible rock of your being. It means you will know that nothing real can be threatened, and that the only unreal is destined to vanish. This state of conscious invincibility transforms everything: your relationships, your health, your creativity, your material manifestation. Not because you impose your will on the world, but because you vibrate in such coherence, strength, and love that the world naturally responds to your elevated frequency. You are like a lighthouse in the night. It does not need to fight the darkness. It simply shines, and its light is enough. Now I invite you to remember deeply, fear does not define you. It never did. You're an eternal spark of infinite consciousness, a traveler of time and space who chose to incarnate to expand the light amidst density. And now, having walked the path of knowledge, having seen the roots of fear, having received the keys to dismantle it, the time has come to embody this truth. Are you ready to integrate into every cell of your being this state of invincibility that was always your heritage? The journey continues in the sacred act of your daily life. You have walked a path that few dare even to imagine. You have descended to the very roots of fear. You have seen its illusory architecture, and you have remembered that in the depths of your being, you were never weak, never fragmented, never a victim of circumstances. You have awakened to the living truth that invincibility is not a state reserved for mythical heroes or extraordinary beings. It is your forgotten nature, your birthright, your eternal essence waiting to be remembered and embodied in each of your acts. Perhaps as you listened to these words, you felt inner movements. Maybe the shadow of fear arose, trying to reclaim its place, or perhaps a silent flame began to ignite within you, whispering that it was possible, that it was real. No matter how your initial reaction manifested, what matters is that now you know you have the power to choose, that fear is not an absolute dictator, but a door that, when crossed with consciousness, reveals a new horizon of freedom. Living beyond fear does not mean eliminating all challenges, but remembering in each challenge who you are. It means holding yourself in the coherence of the soul, even when the waves of the world try to drag you. It means choosing again and again to act from love, from presence, from integrity, until that state of invincibility is no longer a practice, but a natural emanation of your being. Today, the invitation pulsing at the heart of this message is simple and profound. Do not settle for understanding these keys intellectually. Bring them into practice. Breathe in them. Walk with them. Let every decision be an act of sovereignty. Every word an affirmation of your inner power. Every glance at the world a confirmation of your inviolable freedom. Remember that every step toward your highest truth not only transforms you, but silently transforms the collective field. Every time you choose love over fear, faith over doubt, presence over evasion, you are lighting a light that others can see in the darkness. You are more important than you imagine. Your personal choice to live in invincibility impacts dimensions your mind cannot even comprehend. So now, as we close this encounter, I invite you to make a silent promise to your soul, to promise yourself that you will never again allow fear to determine who you are or what you can be, that you will walk this life not as a conditioned reflection, but as a conscious creator, a bearer of light, an invincible soul remembering its immensity. With that said, thank you for watching, and until next time.